Hi guys, welcome to this new video on Angular 16. In this video, I will talk about very important topic in Angular 16 called routing. Routing means that we navigate from one page to another page. Let's say we have about page, contact us page, login page or sign up page. So in this video, I will pretty much cover everything regarding routing. That includes static routes, dynamic routes, query params, nested routings. So let's get started. I've opened up my VS Code and I'm going to create a new Angular project for this video. So in the terminal, I will start off writing ng new and I will name it routing. Okay, I'll hit enter and it's asking me whether I want to include the default routing configuration or not. We want to include that, otherwise we will have to include it manually. Okay, I will hit Y, hit enter, and it's currently creating a new Angular 16 project along with the routing file automatically configured in this folder structure. So if I open this up, you can see that it has created this folder structure. And if I go into the source folder, app, and you can see that app-routing module file is automatically created, and this file app routing module is being used in this module file you can see over here. All right, so first of all, let's create few components and I will be loading the content of those components on different routes. Let's say that we have a notes route, we have the note ID route that contains a single note detail page. Let's first run the project. So I'm going to go inside my folder and I'm going to run npm run start, and this command, as you know, written over here. All right, so it's actually compiling and building the project. So let's go into the browser and I'm going to refresh this page, and this is the default HTML automatically provided. Now let's get started and create a new component. So in the terminal, I'm going to start off creating with a new terminal, let's say notes. So I'm going to write nggc and I'm going to create a folder components / notes. I will hit enter. So it's going to create a components folder, and inside it, it's going to add all the files required for the notes component. All right, so we can have another component, let's say that single note. Okay, so now we have two components created in the components folder. One is the notes, other one is the note, and its references will be added over here in this app.module.ts file. All right, and in this file we are going to initialize few routes. Let's say that, let me go in the browser after running the project, and I want to actually trigger /notes or /notes/note ID. Then I want to load up this node component, single node component. How can I do that? So in this array of routes, I'm going to create objects. So those objects are going to take up the path. So what would be the path of a single on the URL? So I will write / or I can just write the notes. So it will be like localhost :4200 /notes. And after that, which component I want to load against this route, against this path. So I want to load up the notes component against this path. So you can see that it has been added over here. So now let me save it. And this path is added in this array, and this array is being added in this imports array over here, and it is automatically added in this app.module.ts file. So it is understood by our project that this is the route path automatically configured. So in the browser, I'm going to write localhost :4200 notes, hit enter, and here you can see that it is actually showing the note works right below over here. The reason is that let's go over app.component.html. I'm going to remove everything that is written in this HTML file. So this is the parent component. You can say that this is the home route. Okay, and all the content of other routes are going to be loaded up in this place where I have added router outlet selector. This is the built-in in Angular. All right, so what we can do here, we can use this router outlet as a layout component, and we can have a header at the top. Let's say that h1 header, and below this we can have h1 with the footer, and all the components, the content of all the child components are being loaded over here. Okay, so let's save. And now you can see that header node works, and this is how it's working. Let's now go ahead in app.routing.module ts file, and I'm going to create another object. Okay, and in this object I'm going to create a path, and in this path I'm going to write nodes slash colon id. Okay, and in this component I'm going to load up nodes component which I have created, a single node component actually. Okay, let's save it. And now we have two routes. One is the nodes and other one is the nodes slash id, and it means that it can take any dynamic value. It can be nodes slash 1, nodes slash abc, or anything like that. So let's save this file and go to the browser, and I'm going to write nodes slash 1. And now you can see this is the default content automatically added when we create a component. Node works. So this is the single node. If I write a b c d, hit enter, still it will work like this because this is the dynamic value. And if I just go ahead into the nodes, and you can see nodes work perfectly. And these are the layout files. We can have these kinds of components. It's not compulsory that we directly add the content over here. We can load up the header navbar component over here. We can load up the any component over here rather than directly adding the text over here. We can have the sidebar components to load up for all the pages. Okay, and the internal content, whenever we change the route, we will be loading up all those content in this place. Okay, so now let's go ahead and in this file I'm going to design it a bit so that we were able to click on the buttons, and by clicking on those buttons I should be able to navigate to the different routes. So I'll remove this h1 and I'm going to create a nav bar, because in real applications we have different buttons, links that we need to click to navigate to different pages. Okay, so I will start off with nav, and inside it let's create a list ul and li, and inside it it's going to take the anchor tag. Okay, and let's say that this contains home. Okay, so let's end up with the li. So li have this anchor tag. So in order to navigate from one page to another page, we need to define this path from where we are navigating to different pages. And in Angular we are given with a router link attribute. Make sure you spell it right in camel case. And after this I can create different paths. So let's say that I want to navigate to the nodes route from by clicking on this link. Okay, so let's save it. And currently you can see that we have this home route, and if I click on it I'm already in the nodes. So let's remove it. Let's hit enter, and if I click on the home route you will see that it will be automatically changed at the URL, and its content is going to be loaded wherever I have written this router outlet selector. Okay, but first of all I want to start off with an empty route, and this is what I need to create yet. So in the app routing file I can actually create an empty path over here. So in this array, I'm going to show you how we can redirect from one route to another route if that happens. So this is the path, and this is an empty path, right? Currently, it means that this is the home route localhost colon 4200. And against this, just like the below routes, I can pass another component, let's say the home component that I have created to it. But as I have already shown you how we can load different components, but let's say that we hit the home route on the browser, and by hitting the home route on the browser, I want this route to be automatically changed to the nodes route. Okay, and there is a keyword called the redirect to, and using this redirect to I can actually give it a path. So let's say the nodes path. So what it will do is whenever this route is going to hit, it will be automatically redirected to this route. And after this I actually need to write the path match equals to full, so that it matches the complete path of this nodes. Let's test this out. Okay, and in this HTML I've actually written this slash, and whenever this link is going to get clicked, this is going to get triggered, and when this route is going to get triggered, it is going to be redirected back to the nodes route. So let's see, let's refresh first. Okay, and let's go to /1 manually, and if I click on the home route, it should actually navigate to the nodes route that I've just explained you. If I click on here, now you can see that the redirect to attribute actually worked, and by clicking on this home route, we are able to navigate to this node works component. Okay, the route actually. Let's add few more elements over here so that we are able to navigate to this dynamic route. And also I want to show you how we can navigate from the typescript file as well, from one route to another route. Okay, so I'm going to create another li element. Let's copy this one, paste over here, and this is going to be navigated to the nodes. Okay, and let's change the nodes over here. All right, and for this I'm going to actually copy and paste over here. And in order to navigate to this dynamic route nodes, we actually, in real application, we have the different IDs coming from the URLs that we append to the URL, and through that URL we can actually navigate to that route. I'm just going to show you how we can do it from the TypeScript, but first let's see how we can do it in our HTML. So over here we can actually use this square brackets. Okay, and against its value I'm going to create a square bracket, and I can actually first need to create this predefined keyword. You can see that this nodes is actually needs to be exactly same word, and after slash we can have the dynamic value. So I have added this nodes. Okay, and I can add the comma, and I can pass any value to it after that. Let's say 1 2 3. Okay, and against this I can actually write the node 1 2 3, and this is just to show. So I'm just going to copy this one 2 more times so that we can have different values after this. So let's change this one 456 465, and let's save this one. Let's go into the browser, let's refresh, and currently I'm at this nodes/3. Let's go to the home route, and it is automatically redirected to nodes route as expected. Let's go to the nodes, it will stay over here, and let's zoom in a bit, and let's click on the nodes 1 2 3. Now you can see that this nodes 1 2 3 is actually loaded up, and currently we are only able to see this URL because the component of node only showing the node works inside it. Let's go and see, and this is the node component, and you can see so how we can actually fetch this ID in the node component so that we can append that ID along with this node works. So let's see quickly how we can do it over here. So inside this TypeScript file, I'm actually going to import activated route. Okay, so activated route, and it's going to be added from the Angular router. All right, so inside it, let's add implements on init, and this has to be imported as well. So I'll just click on the quick fix, and it will be added over here. All right, so first of all, let's try to add an optional node ID, and I will be using this node ID to append its value in this HTML. So let's say that whenever this route is going to hit, this component is actually going to load up. So we actually need to fetch that ID in that component. Okay, so let's create constructor, and I'm going to write route colon activated route. Okay, let's do it like this, and now I'm going to actually use a lifecycle hook ng on init. I've already created a video, an extensive video on all 8 lifecycle hooks in Angular. You can check that out and learn all about lifecycle hooks. Ng on init will be automatically triggered whatever we write inside it whenever this component actually mount. So inside it I can use this dot route param map dot subscribe params. Okay, and inside it we can actually fetch the value from params.get, and then the id is the name that we added while creating the route over here. Okay, so let's go over here. We have the params dot get id. We actually need to pass it to the node id, or like this. So it will now fetch the id and store it in this variable. Let's go into the HTML, and I can use interpolation to show the id over here. So note id. So let's see on the browser and see if the URL actually being fetched. So now you can see that this is the 456 and this is being shown up. Let's change it, note, and now you can see that as soon as the URL gets changed, it automatically fetched from the URL and shown it through the variable over here, and through interpolation we are showing it on the UI, and it is so quick. And this is called Angular is called the single page application, that we can actually navigate from one route to another route without actually refreshing the page. That's why the Angular, React or other frameworks of JavaScript called the single page app, because it's so quick. All right, so let's remove this for now. So note 1, and inside this HTML I'm going to show you that how we can actually navigate from one page to another page through the TypeScript file. Okay, so for that I'm actually going to create a button below this, and for this button I'm actually going to create a function click, and this is going to be navigate to nodes. Okay, so go to nodes. So whenever I want to click on this button, I will be triggering a function in the TypeScript file. So let's create a function over here. Let's save it. Let's save this one, and I want to navigate to the nodes route actually. Okay, so in this TypeScript file I'm going to import a router. So this is going to be a router from Angular router, and first of all I'm going to add a constructor in my component, okay, to create an instance for that router. And I've already created this function, so inside it I can use that router to navigate to different paths. So router, and I can write the navigate, and within the square brackets I can navigate to the nodes route, and I can close it with the single quotes. Okay, so let's save it and see if we are able to navigate to the nodes route by this button, by clicking on this button. And let's click on this, and if I click on it, you can see that we are able to navigate to the nodes route, and this is not happening through HTML. This is happening because of this TypeScript file, and this is how we can navigate from different routes to another routes. Okay, so in this HTML file, let's see that how we can navigate from one route to another route if that new route is a dynamic route. Okay, so I'm actually going to copy paste this button. Okay, so I'm actually going to remove this one, and I can actually pass the different values. Let's see, let's say that 2 3 4. Okay, go to a node. Okay, this function is not exists and it will throw an error. So let's try to copy this function and paste over here, and from here I can actually fetch the ID of type number. Okay, so now let's try to copy this one, paste over here, and along with passing this nodes I can actually pass an ID coming from that HTML, and we are receiving it in the parameter. So let's save it, let's refresh, let's go to the home route, let's go to the nodes route, and we are already in the nodes route. Let's go to a single node. Okay, if I click on it, and now you can see that we are able to navigate to the dynamic route from the TypeScript file, and the route is 234, and this is being shown 234 over here. All right, so I have shown you how we can actually create routes, dynamic routes. We can actually create a redirection by adding the path match. We can create different dynamic routes and navigate from HTML and the TypeScript file. There are more stuff that I'm just going to show you in the routing. So another route is called path. This double static, it means that when any route does not exist, so let's say that node slash abc slash this, let's say like this, if I hit enter, it will not show anything. I don't want to do that, because I want to, so it automatically navigated to the home route. This is what I want to avoid. I want to show an actual message that this route does not exist. I might be showing the 404 message that page not found, something like that. Okay, so I can create another component for that. So let's create a component and I can name it not found. Okay, so this has been created. Now in the routing file, I can actually add that component. So I can write the component and I can write not found component, and this has been automatically added over here. All right, so this has been added. Now whenever I will try to hit any route that does not exist, this not found component is going to get triggered. Okay, so let's try and see if it works. Make sure you save all the files. I have not saved, and also I need to run the project as well. Okay, so here let's refresh, and now note works. Let's try to change it a bit. So this one like this, hit enter, and now you can see that the not found works actually shown up. This is coming from that new component that we have just created. All right, there are a couple of more things I want to show you considering this route. After this, I will show you how we can create nested routes. Okay, so let's say that in our browser, we can see that on the title of the page, we are able to see 10 routing. How could we can actually show a particular title for each route that we navigated to? So it's pretty simple in Angular. We are given with the attributes with the title. So let's say that we have this, we are actually redirecting, so we don't need to add the title over here. So we can add the title, and we can add the notes title, and we can have the title over here. Let's say a single note. Okay, make sure you add the comma, and for the not found, I can have the title have here as well. And it is quite essential and meaningful whenever we navigate to different page. So I can write the 404 page not found. Okay, so let's save it and let's go. And now you can see the page route title have been changed because I'm in the not found route. Let's go to the home route, and now you can see that the title have been changed. Let's go to the dynamic single note route, and now you can see that this single note have been updated, and it's pretty simple. This is how we can change the titles of that. Let's now talk about the nested routing. So what does nested routing means? That let's say that we have the further routes, any number of routes. Let's say that we have settings slash profiles, or settings slash accounts slash settings slash something like that. Okay, I don't want to create the different routes like the settings slash something like that, or settings slash account, settings slash profile directly over here. Instead, I want to create a separate route for settings, and I want to create the child routes for this settings route. So whenever I try to hit that particular route, it automatically detect its parent default route. Okay, so this is quite useful in various cases. So first of all, I'm going to create few more components. So I'm going to create, first of all, let's create let's say an about component, and I'm going to create another component, let's say about projects. Okay, so let's create one more component that has to be the sponsors. So these three components have been created, as you can see over here. And in this app routing file, I'm going to create its nested routing. First of all, let's create that one. So I'm going to write path, and I can name it about, which is the route. Okay, and I can give it a title about, and about component have been created. So let's try to import that. So this has been imported. All right, let's add the comma. So this route will be working if I check it on my browser. Okay, so here I'm given with another property called the children, and children actually gives us an array, and this array we can actually add different paths inside this array in the form of objects. So I can give like projects. Okay, and against this project let's give the title, and the component I can give the projects component that I have just created about. And just like this one I can actually create, let's save it, and I'm going to copy this one. Let's try to add it manually. So I can write sponsors. Okay, and let's add the title as well, and the component is going to be sponsor, about sponsor component. All right, so let's save it now. So in our app component I'm going to create another link to navigate to our about page. Okay, so let's copy this. I'm just going to change its title to about, and the router link is going to be about. Okay, let's remove this square bracket. Let's save it and refresh, and now you can see that we are already in the about page. Let's go to the notes, about, and now you can see the about page is loading fine, and we are actually changing the route over here in the URL. All right, so now we have created this child route. I'm going to show you how we can actually what is the benefit of it. So I'm going to go inside my about component HTML, and this is where the text is being shown up. And in this HTML I'm just going to create that nav bar again. So let's go over here. Below this I can actually write the nav. Let's add the UL tag and LI tag. Okay, and inside LI we have the anchor tag, and we can actually create the router link equals to, and it will be about slash projects, and this is what we have created. Okay, so let's add the projects over here. All right, so let's save it, and I'm gonna go over here. We can see that we have this projects visible over here, and in order to actually make it work, we are actually going to create a router outlet here as well. So I have created a child route, so all the content of the parent component are visible at this place. Okay, and all the child components for the about route will be visible over here wherever I write this router outlet. So the parent component can have its own layout configuration, and this about route can have its own layout configuration. All right, so here we have actually added this li router link about projects, and then the projects. Let's go ahead, let's refresh, and now you can see that we are actually showing the internal content of the about slash projects over here where we have written this router outlet. Okay, and just like this we can actually trigger the other sponsor, this one sponsors route as well. So sponsors like this. Let's refresh, and now we are able to click on navigate to this one. We actually need to add the cursor pointer, but for now that's fine. You can see that the content is visible over here if I click on any of these links, and the URL is about slash sponsors, and this is what we configured over here, and about slash projects, about slash sponsors. But let's say that we have another child configuration for this projects as well. Are we going to create this like this slash about slash projects, slash project id1 slash something like that. There is another way that we can relatively give only this path and it will be automatically detecting its parent path over here. So I will be giving this sponsors and it will be automatically detecting that what is the parent path of it, which is the about, and that will be automatically appended. So in order to do that, I'm just going to copy this L1 li actually, and I'm going to wrap router link with the square brackets. Let's wrap this in the square brackets as well and wrap the text in the single quotes now. Okay, I'm just going to remove it. So here actually we had to add this one in this anchor tag over here. Okay, that's why it was not behaving like a link. All right, so let's save it now. Now if I click on this sponsors, it should actually navigate to slash about slash sponsors rather than only sponsors. Okay, so let's go to the home route, let's refresh, and everything working fine. Let's go to the about route, and this is the about route and it has further links. If I click on the projects, and it's work as expected, about slash projects. If I click on sponsors, you can see that about sponsors works and the URL is remained about slash sponsors. All right, so this is how we can relatively give the path and it's automatically detecting its parent path right here. So one more thing I want to show you, that how we can pass the query param. If I click on any link, I want to pass the query param like the sponsors question mark sponsor id equals to 2 and something like that. Okay, how we can pass it from HTML and how we can receive its value in our TypeScript file. So let's go over here. I'm going to create another link. So let's copy this one, and I'm just going to, in fact, let's copy this one. Okay, so along with this router link attribute, we have another attribute called the query params. Okay, so I need to give it an object and I can write project id colon any value like 1 2 3. Okay, let's enclose it within the double quotes, the complete. Okay, so this is automatically add question mark in the URL and automatically add the project ID. And if I want to create another query param, I can have the ABC colon any value like this. Okay, let's first test it with this one. So project with query param. All right, so let's save it, and in the browser let's refresh, and we have this project with query param. If you click on it, you can see that this question mark slash project ID equals to 1 2 3 is automatically added and URL is constructed. Let's go into the TypeScript file and I'm going to show you how we can actually fetch the data for it. Okay, so just like this note, I'm actually going to import this activated route in the about component. Okay, and just like the node component, we had this one constructor. Okay, so constructor have been added, and next we have to actually use ng on init, but I'm going to add an implements on init, and let's try to implement ng on init function over here, and inside it I can use this dot route dot, and I can write the query params over here. Okay, and then I can write subscribe params, and inside it I can actually create a new variable to show the data, and I will be showing you in the console log for now. You can also store its value in the variable for showing it on the UI. Okay, so I can write the project ID equals to, and then the params project ID. Okay, so let's try to log this up. So console log product ID. Let's save it. and it's automatically showing 123 over here. The reason is that I'm using console ninja extension of VS Code, and that shows the content of console log directly in our VS Code, but we can see it on the browser as well, 123. Okay, let's see. Let's try to go into the about. Let's try to click on project with query param, and now you can see 123 is being fetched from the URL, and this is how we can get the data from URL. It's showing over here as well. So I have covered pretty much each and every concept of routing in Angular. Up till now, if you have understood and learned something new, do subscribe my channel. I'm spending quite a lot of time building these videos. Like my video, comment below if you have any question. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in the next video.